And if it's on for good.
Some slack in labor markets remains, and the effects of this labor slack and the influence
for good. Let me tell you. And if it's on for good.
Some labor market, some slack remains.
'Cause when it's gone for good. Let me tell you. 'Cause when it's gone for good.
As the temporary factors.
Put it back together, piece by piece. Put it back together, piece by piece.
You're looking at a monster sinkhole that has opened up on Queensland's Rainbow Beach.
Halloween. Where does it really come from? Why do we really celebrate it? These are questions many people don't bother with or care to even know. The word Halloween is derived from the term All Hallows' Eve, which occurred on October 31st, the end of summer in northwestern Europe. Halloween is among Satanism's most cherished days. Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan and author of the Satanic Bible, writes, after one's own birthday, the two major satanic holidays are Walpurgisnacht, May 1st, and Halloween. Satanic High Priestess Blanche Barton on the Church of Satan website praises Halloween. Quote, it gives even the most mundane people the opportunity to taste wickedness for one night. They have a chance to dance with the devil. End quote. The Satanic calendar decrees for Halloween, quote, one of the most important nights of the year. Blood and sexual rituals, sexual association with demons, animal and human sacrifice, male or female, end quote. And former occultist Joanna Michaelson reveals, quote, Halloween is also a prime recruiting season for Satanists, end quote, like the lambs to the slaughter, page 192. It all began over 2,000 years ago among the Celts and their pagan priests called the Druids. Many regard the Druids as the king of the occult. This dark night is dedicated to the Celtic Lord of the Dead, symbolized by the horned god and the stag god. The ancient Druids celebrated two nights of the year, Beltane and Samhain. Beltane took place on May 1st and marked the birth of summer. Samhain occurred on November 1st and signified the death of summer. Samhain, a night celebrating death and hell, was the Druids' most important ritual. It was a terrifying night of human sacrifices. The original Halloween.
Well, they would meet at Stonehenge. They had a giant cauldron, a black pot, that they would fill with what you would best understand as an apple cider-like substance. They would light the pot, and then all the Druid priests would go out throughout the countryside. They would go to various mansions, to castles, to people of nobility such as the earls, marquises, dukes, what have you. They would walk up to the front door of these places, and you want to know what they would yell out? Trick or treat, exactly. Now see, trick or treat is a two-part expression that literally sent waves and waves and waves of panic throughout the people who ever heard it. You see, if the Lord of the Manor cooperated with the Druids, he would take one of his own servants or one of his own household members, someone of his own family, and pass them over to the Druids to be used as a human sacrifice offering that night. The Druids would leave you a treat for your cooperation. They would take a pumpkin that was previously hollowed out and filled with human fat. They would leave it on the front doorstep and light it. This served as a water protection from all the demonic forces that would be unleashed that night. Now this is where we get into the trick. If you did not cooperate with the Druids, they would take blood from a dead body that they had actually been dragging around and paint the six-pointed star with the circle around it. This is known as a hexagram, from the Latin hexere for six. This is the foulest, the most evil of all the symbols in the occult world. I don't care what anyone else tells you. You need that symbol if you're going to summon a demon to this plane of existence. The Druids would paint that in human blood on the people's front door. Someone would die between those nights because of the demonic forces that were summoned. 4 or 5 hours later, the Druids would all return, in this example, as I stated, back to Stonehenge. Once they got back to Stonehenge, they would take these people and put them in these cages. One particular cage is of great interest. They would take those wicker reeds. Remember how we had talked about those before, how the Easter egg landed in wicker? And it's a very, very durable material. What the Druids would do a week before Samhain began, they would send the Celtic warriors out throughout the countryside where they would gather up thousands of these wicker reeds. Once they brought them back, they formed a giant wicker man. The wicker man looked something similar to this. It stood approximately 25 to 30 feet in height and was just intercrossing wicker reed to where it formed the effigy of a human man. This would usually be 2 to 3 levels in height and have cages running throughout it. The Druids, once they brought back all the human sacrifice offerings from trick-or-treating, they would throw them into those cages and tie them. Now, if by some chance they ran out of space in the wicker man, they had these regular square cages made out of wicker that they had set aside just in case. Now, this is where the Druids now would have their version of fun. They would take approximately 12 prisoners, 12 people now who were going to be used as human sacrifice offerings, and line them up in a single row in front of that cauldron. They would take an apple, throw it into the cauldron, and say, if you can take that in between your teeth on the first try, you will be set free immediately. Who would do that? Raise your hand. Who would try to grab that apple in between their teeth so that they could be set free? Who would do it? Raise your hand, please. There's only one problem, though. That cauldron has been boiling away for 4 to 5 hours now. The boiling temperature of liquid is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, who would do it? No volunteers? You? You know, you'd be the only one then who would have a chance of living. You see, if you didn't try for it, you were going to end up as a human sacrifice offering anyways. This was your only way out. Every single person there did take the chance, except with dire consequences, let's face it. After they plunged their heads into that boiling liquid, their faces, their neck, and I don't even know how much of their chest and back, literally was just melting to where they would be permanently disfigured and unrecognizable. Many of them went blind because of the 212-degree liquid that was burning their eye sockets away. Many end up as partially or permanently deaf because of the damage that was done to their ear canal and the damage that was done to their speech and to their respiratory system because all that liquid was funneling down their throats while they were trying to grab that apple. And yes, this is where you've got that cute little game bobbing for apples. Now, if you did grab that apple on the first try in between your teeth, they held to their promise. They let you go. Some life afterwards. But if you didn't do it, they would throw you on the ground and behead you right there on the spot.
So, since we know the ruling elite dabble in the occult to say the least, being that it is documented that they in fact gather once a year at Bohemian Grove for occult rituals to worship Moloch, the giant owl. Can we even begin to imagine what they might be up to on this most important day for the occult? Masks, masquerading, concealing oneself, this plays a huge role in their ideologies and activities. It has been documented that the elite Rothschild's banking family do actually partake in masked events, very similar to those shown in the film Eyes Wide Shut. The type of masks usually used by the elite are Venetian masks. Venetian masks were originally worn during the Italian Renaissance in Venice and were a way for the powerful elite of the time to indulge in debauchery without reprisal. These masks have been used in elite circles for quite some time and have somewhat become a symbol of its dark occult philosophy. The British royal family partakes in the same type of masked events as well. The Rothschild banking mafia is a prime example of the secret world of the occult elite. On December 12, 1972, Marie-Helene de Rothschild held a surrealist ball at Chateau de Fierieres, one of the family's gigantic mansions. While these events are usually extremely secretive, photographs of this particular ball were leaked on the web, and they are disturbing to say the least. Indeed, behind the fun and games, the images revealed the underlying ideology and the mind state of the occult elite, and confirmed what many already believed. In short, it is just a tiny glimpse into the eyes wide shut culture of the elite. Indeed, the mansion was lit in red to make it appear as if it was on fire. And, interesting to note, this mansion was used to film scenes for the Roman Polanski film Ninth Gate. And, speaking of Eyes Wide Shut, guess what mansion the occult ritual party was filmed in? You guessed it, a Rothschild mansion, built by Baron Mayer de Rothschild. From ancient Babylon, the mystery religion and the pagan rituals associated with it spread to Egypt, Asia, North and South America, all over the world. It is now firmly entrenched in mainstream modern society. And so, since this day is considered to be the day of darkness and blood sacrifice to the occult, can we consider this day to be their purge? It is interesting to consider the programming of this film series, promoting the motto of letting loose and embracing your dark side to commit mass murder, all while wearing masks. You won't find it very often in the mainstream news, but the reality is that a lot of people have come forward with stories of what really happens on Halloween night. The fact is, there is stuff going on out there that is absolutely unimaginable, in elite circles and otherwise. Many people do not want to acknowledge the real-life nightmares that happen during Halloween, but refusing to acknowledge them will not make them go away. So, it's up to you. Trick or truth?
Breathe in the future, breathe out the past. Sure. Savor this moment as long as it lasts. Let me tell you.